Um, this is going to be an intro video, and this is actually mostly going to be like talking notes for a longer, more in depth, written piece that I'm working on about wokeism. Um, okay, here's the big idea. I think that a lot of people who are complaining, I keep seeing this on the right, and they're like making fun of it in ways that I think are actually like deflecting. So I think people who are talking about wokeism and making fun of it, right, and they're talking about identity politics, in a way where it is how do you say, like, almost making a mockery of the legitimacy of someone's identity politics. Um, the reason that this is um, I feel like the reason that this is happening is because on such a large scale, people have stepped away, or people have, for the first time, started to hear, see, experience, have personal experience with people who are not a part of their primary identity. So, people from other racial groups, people from other genders, people from other socioeconomic classes, all of these different things, right? And they are starting to understand how their own personal values are different from the values of someone else, and that we all live in the society. So the fact that people are basically saying that, like if someone says, I am transgender, I am a she, they, theirs, that is what I would like you to refer to me in my pronoun. I feel like for the first time, I might and maybe not the first time, because the concept to me is not foreign. It's not that I don't understand why people would want to be referred to as their pronouns, but I also, just one of my personal values, like I really did study biology for a while, and to me the arguments make a lot more sense that are about like just having to the validity of biologic genders, as in like females have like uteruses and give birth, and that, like, that is the thing. So I do think what I'm saying is not to take away from someone's identity in the way that they identify. It's more like this co-opting of terms. Like, I think that if, and I'm not trying to be funny here, but this is just honestly how I feel. I think if you have a new, in the same way that like the dictionary has words and then words mean things, I think that it might be more effective if transgender people come up with just new terms and new identifiers that classify them, that aren't a part of the binary system that we already have, that classify like male and female. And then they could introduce that concept to like general pop, and then be like, we would now like to be known as that, and then advocate for rights under that, as opposed to trying to say that like you're a part of a group that already exists. It's, I feel like this is where people are they keep terming things like wokeism, but then they'll be so quick to start to say like, yeah, so that's why you should understand the like 650-year value system that was created under the Christian Bible that I live by and everyone knows. And they'll be like, yes, this is why like you should understand my Jewish identity that traces back to Israel, or something. They'll start to bring in their own history of like the way that they came to understand these terms and values that like you should understand, even though they don't understand your terms and values from a culture that you have that is different from their own. I feel like this is why, especially, I personally continue to talk as like a black woman, like it's like I have a black American parent, I have an continental African and Ethiopian parent. I consider myself now at this point as an Ethiopian woman. At one point, I feel like when I first started on YouTube, I considered myself more of a black American. And I think it was because I was struggling quite a lot with like my own, how I wanted to identify as a black woman. It wasn't that I didn't see myself as a black woman. It was more of like how I wanted to see myself in the future, and if I wanted to identify with America, given what I've experienced in American society, and really like where I would like to go in the future. And I just don't see myself thriving, growing, succeeding in American society, and I think that that's okay. Like I don't really feel. I feel like I tried, I came, I it's kind of it was an L for me, like a really big L. Like American society is not for me, and I'm not trying to convince anyone to feel that way. What I'm trying to communicate is that like I feel that way. My feelings are valid. My experiences also are very valid. And also, it was something that was very strange to me. And one of the things that actually caused me to make this decision is understanding that, like, even though I'm sitting here as like a black woman, like kind of like a black American and a black African American woman, um, and I'm speaking these experiences. Like I've gotten way better at like storytelling and explaining shit now because I've been doing it for a minute. But before, when I first started, it's like I'm experiencing something that is maybe causing me to feel devastated, like heartbroken. And some people in my community, like in my neighborhood, some people even in my family, some people at certain work environments, they were shocked that like I was feeling that particular way because in their lives they've never seen, first of all, any black person have feelings. And I'm not trying to say that to be funny. I'm saying it in those exact words to describe to you that things that have happened in American society, and I would say even global society because of propaganda and a lot of other shit, there are a lot of communities of other racial groups who don't have any interaction with black people in any form ever. The only thing that they know about black people is either through the internet, which is why it is really important to have black content creators, especially black female content creators that are humanizing real experiences in the real world. And then like even the content creators that they do see seem to have like a mockery, a wig, and like a joke, like clowns, right? And that caricature of blackness is has been perpetrated for so long. It's so familiar. Like everybody knows like the clown jigaboo black person who's like, ha ha ha, everything's funny, everything's gay, ha ha ha. Like that isn't me. Right? I'm kind of like on the way other opposite of the spectrum where I'm pretty stoic. Lots of things don't make me laugh. My humor is it's like an intellectual type of humor. It's kind of dark, a dark humor for sure. And that's not comfortable for like a lot of people. It certainly isn't comfortable for everyone, and it kind of takes a certain personality type to even understand it. So that's a thing. And like those are parts of my identity. And I feel like the more that I hear conservatives critique wokeism, I'm realizing that actually what they're saying is that zillennials, so these are millennials and Gen Z, have basically started to like see the way that I would say more traditional conservative power elites were taking over corporate culture, and they made corporate culture toxic as fuck. Like it was just unbearable really for like anybody who's not white. I don't know, there's not another way to say that. Like if you're not like white and privileged and upper class, it being a part of corporate America for a very long time was like soul sucking, awful. I don't even feel like it's actually changed much. But like when people are investing, making life decisions, like I'm going to spend $200,000 or 4 years to go to college to enter this sphere, and you're causing me to enter a place that I'm going to have to go into every day around people that I hate. People that I hate. People that are making me want to like die. Something had to change. And I feel like that's what they're calling wokeism. Just the fact that there's like new people on the block who have different values, who have different identities, and who want to make social change. They want society to change. And society actually is changing for millennials. And I feel like what I'm hearing from like a lot of conservatives is like the pushback on that. And that's why I want to be very clear. I'm a moderate. People keep thinking I'm a liberal. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm black. They think I'm a liberal. And then there's other people who think now because I live in Tennessee, I'm a conservative. Like I'm neither of those things. I'm a moderate, which means like in terms of my politics, and you'd have to go policy by policy here to try to understand where I stand, which we could do that. I feel like there's probably an election coming up. I need to register to vote, but um like it would really depend on the particular policy to see which way that I like curve. But if we're talking about like corporate culture, I feel like I'm extremely left. Call me like the left feminist with all the cats, like I'm there. Anything that has to do with really like corporate culture and the workforce and women in the workforce and women with jobs, I am the most left that you could get. Things that have to do with like immigration, probably like student debt reform, um kind of like capitalism, free market capitalism, I feel like I might be way more conservative. Um and that is, yeah, that's kind of a hard place to sit. And then there's other things about like gender where I sit pretty conservative, or I feel like sexuality in terms of like maybe like prudency versus like the sexual liberation movement, I probably sit like smack dab in the middle there. um it would have to go policy by policy and to start to like there for me it isn't like I'm definitely not some like orthodox Christian. I'm also not like a blue-haired liberal. Like for me personally, I sit in the middle. I'm a moderate, and that is a very sort of like untouched. It's a book that has been like unflipped. People don't know how to react to moderates. People don't know what moderates are, um because the way that American intellect has been kind of moving, it's very binary. It's like it's black or it's white. It is, it is correct or it's not correct. It is something I agree with or it isn't. They don't understand anything in the middle, and that's weird because it's like the generation of zillennials, like we're the workforce right now. Like we are the people who are like creating content, who are creating jobs, who are creating culture, who are living in society. And it's very hard. And it's something also that I want to, and I feel like I'm starting to talk about this more frequently. But there's a thing about like society, culture, politics, and identity. Like one guy commented on my video, he was like, my whole life people have been calling me nigger or something, or and I've just gotten used to it. And that is awful. Like why that's not normal. Or that maybe it is normal. It's clearly normal for him because like the definition of normal is like if it keeps happening and people identify it happens and they're okay with it. But it's not good and it should be changed. Like he should just accept the fact that like that's how it is and then be like, this is fine. It's not fine. Like you shouldn't accept that as and be like, yay. Like you should definitely push back and be like, this shouldn't happen. This is not a good thing to happen because it's not a good thing to happen. And like that's why. And like I don't see how that is controversial or like that's not a hot take. Yeah, that's not a hot take. Or at least it shouldn't be. I feel like it might be, but it definitely shouldn't be. That's weird. I don't know. I just kind of wanted to insert that. And for context here, I'm working on becoming a better writer. And a part of that is being able to explain ideas. Now, sometimes I get into a really good writing niche where I can get my thoughts down on paper and then they kind of sound good. But I want to. Sometimes it becomes, and I've heard this feedback, like I don't talk the way that I write. And so I'm trying to communicate vocally on camera the the feelings and the sentiment that I have and use really particular words and expressions and feelings because I do also want to speak with a little bit more intention around feelings and my feelings about particular instances just because I do feel like for some reason the feelings of black women have been trivialized. Um and that feels wrong. Yeah. If I have a little more time to edit, I will edit. I saw a Keita Rose clip that I think is pretty spot on, and I'll insert that at the end, but maybe not just now.